This program is brought to you by Dolco Media. Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation. With award-winning journalist Mading Mor.
Absolutely.
Honorable Ashwin, as you can see, the ideas of the initiatives are varied.
On July 8th, the clashes in J1 took place, which was very unfortunate.
Including country-specific ones, which
and the rebellion continue to be
Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adengor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, a talk about the role of traditional authorities in the Republic of South Sudan. Should traditional authority rule be revitalized and restored in the Republic of South Sudan? And how can traditional authorities help South Sudan solve its myriad governance challenges? And with us for the show is Majesty Wilson Peni Rikito Gbudwe, the King of the Azande and a member of the South Sudan National Dialogue Steering Committee. It's our pleasure to welcome him to Fixing South Sudan. Welcome to the show.
thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing well.
So when we talk about traditional authority rule, it is a rule that extends to decades and even since the beginning of South Sudan. It's something that has been happening over time, and there have been forces that have been shaping it from the colonial administrations to the modern system of governance. We're happy to explore this topic and what has been happening with traditional authorities in South Sudan.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm a traditional leader. My grandfather was a king of the Azande. He was a very powerful king. You see, we are coming from far as the people of South Sudan. Before the British could come, people were created by God and also anointed by some people within all the ethnic groups in the Republic of South Sudan to rule the people. That is how we started as people of South Sudan. We have been ruled by our leaders. We have been able, the traditional leaders by then were able to control their people, to administer their people, to judge the cases according to their tradition. They were also able to defend the territory on which they were living.
When we talk about King Gbudwe, is someone who is famous for those who know about the history of this country. What happened to his kingdom?
Well, King Gbudwe was the son of King Bazimbi. King Bazimbi had many children on which he was given some areas for the senior children to rule. By that time, Gbudwe was still a young man and he was living in the court with the youth, with a group of youth. King Gbudwe started to show his leadership when the Arabs came and they got married to the daughter of Bazimbi. One day after they got married to her, they came and they married the king. So that was the time Gbudwe started to fight the Arabs. With this, Bazimbi told Gbudwe to continue and defend the territory. When Bazimbi was almost to die, he authorized one of the notable to give what was holding his kingdom to Gbudwe. So that is what made King Gbudwe to be very powerful and also to expand the kingdom beyond the territory that Bazimbi was ruling by then. So King Gbudwe did not allow the foreign body to enter his kingdom. That is why he resisted the British, the Arabs. Then he was also attacked and arrested and taken to Demzibir, where he spent 2 years in prison. Then he was released to go back and then follow the policy of the British. When Gbudwe was taken back to his kingdom, he did not respect the British policy. He continued resisting and fighting the British. So the British made a joint operation, the British, the Belgium, and the French, to come and attack Gbudwe. So that is how King Gbudwe was defeated, because of a joint operation made by the foreign body.
And he died?
And he died.
What year was that?
He was killed in 1905.
And would you say since that time there has been no Azande king?
Sure, because the British did not allow the issue of the kingdom to exist.
And how did that affect the cultures that were in place? How did it affect the rule, the traditional authority rule in the Azande land?
Actually, it affected much, because when the king was killed, and even the children, the princes were not allowed to rule their people according to their tradition. Some princes who were very strong were arrested in 1927, and they were taken to Khartoum. They were killed in Khartoum. So this issue affected the Azande, and up to now, you see the Azande, we lost since the time we lost the king, we lost the leadership, and also the culture, because what the British did was to kill the king in order to impose the policy, their policy. You see, when you want to destroy people, you need to destroy the culture. Divide
and rule.
Sure.
And when the kingdom was outlawed, what was put in place by the colonial authorities?
Actually, what they did was some of the traditional leaders, the princes who were left behind, they were using to rule the people through them, because it was difficult for the British to rule the people unless through the princes and other traditional leaders who were there.
And they were implementing the wishes and whims.
Sure, that is what they were doing.
Right. And then entered the liberation struggles, various liberation movements. First, the Anyanya, was there any impact on the Azande?
In fact, before the Anyanya one, when the Arabs also came in, so they applied the same system of the British. They were just ruling people through the traditional leaders. The worst part was they also changed the name, the traditional leaders. You see, they also changed their name into Islamic. So that is what they do. In order to change all the people into Islamic, you need to go through the traditional leaders, so that they build the mosque in all the chieftainship. So that is what happened. Some traditional leaders were also joined the Islamic.
And that has lasted to this day?
Sure, then the Anyanya one came in. So when the Anyanya one came in, you see, they were struggling to get the independence, to take out all what came in by the foreign body. So they fought, and also they tried to put things in order, but they were unable to restore the powers of the traditional leaders.
And then the SPLM liberation struggle came in, and then what was the impact?
Well, when the SPLM came in, they thought it wise also to use the traditional leaders in order to mobilize man and resources to fight the enemies. That is why you see Dr. John also recruited the traditional leaders to be very powerful, because you see, for a traditional leader to be powerful, you need to have the bodyguards, you need to have the police to protect you. so that you can be strong. So Dr. John, he did that policy in order to make the traditional leaders powerful.
What I want to understand, was the rule restored only for the purposes of mobilization, or was it to save the culture and restore what was lost by the Azande?
Actually, it was not only to support the struggle, because if you see after the CPA, the government of South Sudan developed a policy of empowering the traditional leaders. That is why they developed the Local Government Act. If you go through the Local Government Act, you will see that most of the chapters focus on the issue of the traditional leaders, the courts, the council, which is what is missing at the moment. So the policy was not just mobilized, but also to empower and restore the powers of the traditional leaders.
And what impact did the SPLA, SPLM rule have on the kingdom, on the authorities, on the traditional authorities on the ground at that time?
Actually, recognition, you see, the SPLM, SPLA recognize the effort is done by the traditional leaders during the 21 years of struggle. And that is why they developed the Local Government Act. That is why also they conducted the conferences in order to check and see how they can develop a policy that can help the traditional leader system in the country. We managed to come out with a resolution that we think it can help the system of the traditional leaders.
Previously, as we speak, you are a king, but previously you were a chief, and then a paramount chief, and then a king. That is very confusing.
Actually, you see, as I said, the kingdom, when the king was killed in 1905, the British did not allow the restoration of the Azande king because of what happened to them. When the Arabs came in, they did not allow it. Then what was the reason for the 21 years of struggle? It was to restore all what was taken out by the foreign body. So that is how these things comes in.
And so when did you become a king?
Actually, the kingdom of Gbudwe had been existing immediately after we got the independence. And as a leader in Zandeland, because I'm the only leader in the Zandeland at the moment, a traditional leader in the kingdom of Gbudwe. So that is the time I inherited. Traditional leaders are not supposed to be appointed according to the Local Government Act. We do inherit.
And was there any formal ceremony to enthrone you? Or did you just come up with a decree that we have to go back to what was there?
Actually,
because now we have our own country.
Actually, the ceremony is not yet done because we were supposed, the resources were already started. Then we also met the president. Then he told us to go ahead. We were supposed to do the celebration and the inauguration in 2013. Then the war came in. For the Azande to celebrate that occasion, it is very important to do it in a peaceful manner, in a situation where there is peace, because the Azande need to invite the kings, the king of the Shulu, the king of the Anyuak, and other kings who are also our neighbors to come and attend the celebration. So we did not celebrate it actually because of the conflict. This big occasion cannot do it when there is blood on the ground.
Let's take a break.
Welcome to Dolco Media Services. We have so many services for you, such as video production, camera hiring, sound system hiring, event management, passport photo, stand-up comedy, printing, drama, music, dance, multimedia, and photography. Dolco Media Services, our culture, our pride.
Welcome back to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingor, and with us is His Majesty Wilson Peni Rikito Gbudwe, the King of the Azande, and a member of the South Sudan National Dialogue Steering Committee. We are speaking about the role of traditional authorities in the Republic of South Sudan. Welcome back to the program. We talk about restoration of what has been lost. And as we speak, and you are on track to doing the inauguration, the crowning for the kingdom, and you are saying it should not be done in a war-torn situation. Now that peace is coming, tell us what are the plans to restore what has been lost.
Actually, as the peace has signed, we need to give time to the government to be formed, because as we are talking, our people are still scattered. Some are not within the country, some are in the camps, some are displaced. For any celebration to take place among the Azande people, it needs peace. So I hope with the signing of the peace agreement, the government is going to be formed, and also repatriation is going to take place. And for that, we need the people to settle, to cultivate. It is going to take us a little bit of time, because there is no hurry on that. We need to give people time so that they settle down. Then we think on how we can do it in the coming.
Let me ask about this idea of traditional authority. And in this day and age, are traditions still relevant? When we talk about traditional authority, are we negating the idea of modern governance?
In fact, we need to restore. You see, there are other parts of tradition that we don't need at the moment, because as people grow, there is also some changes that comes in. We need to mix it up. I've been to South Africa. You see, the system in South Sudan is, you see, we need also to give chance to the women to rule as traditional leaders. When I was in Botswana, I also consulted how do they make it. You see, in Botswana, they don't give a chance of traditional leaders to women who are still active. The reason behind is, once you give a chieftainship to a strong woman, she can get married to other ethnic group, and that man can be able to divert the system, the traditional system that woman needs to hold in that chieftainship. So that they used to give chieftainship to women who are retired, who can't get married at all. So when I'm thinking about giving power to women, I also try to recall what I've seen. How is it going to be in South Sudan? Because traditional leader, you are responsible for the tradition and culture of your people. You don't need to mix up.
And when Dr. Francis Mading Deng, who is an eminent scholar and someone who has done a lot of work in this area, he says that you cannot have globalization without localization. And he says that it is the culture, the local, that is the basis of making the modern, which is also the global. And as a king, a modern king, you speak English, you went to school, you are literate. Are you saying that when we talk about traditional authorities, it is not about the way it was in those days? It's also integrating technology and modern knowledge.
Sure. That is true. We are not going to go back, but actually we are going to mix. Because you see, for the Azande people, there are things that we have been doing before, and I don't think we can continue. The tradition of getting married. Traditionally, among the Azande people, if you want to get married to a lady, So when a child is born, you need to ask, who is that child? If it is a girl, that is the time immediately you need to go and book the girl. But at the moment, as traditional leader, we can't allow that to happen. And also by that time, people were giving ladies to the kings. And today, this type of traditional leaders that we had, you can't get married to more than five women.
How many wives have been given to you?
Actually, because the system is not existing, I don't have at all. No one has been given to me. I've been looking.
You are not yet married?
Sure.
Okay. We have introduced you as a member of the National Dialogue, and this kind of conversation, discussions you have been having at the National Dialogue, what the National Dialogue can do to revitalize traditional authority rule. What do you think the National Dialogue can do?
Actually, it is very important. Last week we were able to talk to the leadership and also the members of the National Dialogue. It is an opportunity for me to be here with you and also to talk on behalf of the traditional leaders in the Republic of South Sudan. The message that I want to pass at the moment is, can we look at the traditional leaders in the Republic of South Sudan? Where are we coming from as traditional leaders? Before the British could come in and the Arabs, we were people, we were leaders. We were able to lure our people. Then the British and the Arabs came in. At the moment, the people who destroyed the system of the traditional leaders are no longer there. The British went, and also the Arabs. Today we have the government of the black people, the government of South Sudan. The current government is representing the people who destroyed our powers, who have taken all our resources. So my request...
Is the government representing those who destroyed?
Actually, you see, the destruction done by the people, by the government.
You are saying the government, the South Sudanese government, is against the destruction that has been made, or are you saying
Sure.
they are representing the destruction?
Actually, I'm saying currently the destruction done by the British and the Arabs, they are not there. Now we have a government in place, and that government needs to restore the power which was destroyed by the other government, because that is the reason why we were fighting. That is the reason why we were supporting the struggle as traditional leaders. They know it. What is missing at the moment is the powers that we need, the systems that we need, and if you go to the local government, you will see it there. The courts, the councils, all those things are there. Even the constitution, it focuses about the traditional leader system.
The challenges facing traditional authorities is not just in the Zande land, but also across South Sudan, and you've been having these debates. You have recently called for establishment of a body that will bring all the chiefs together and the royalties together, and you call it National House of, how do you call it in your language?
Actually, you see, according to the constitution, the traditional leaders were supposed to have the council, because you see, we have the chiefdom at the executive chief at the Boma level. We have the head chief at the Payam level. We have the paramount chief at the county level. This is the structure of the traditional leaders. And at the county level, we have what they call the customary law council, headed by the paramount chief of that county, whereby traditional leaders comes and discuss issues of their tradition and custom. Then we have what they call the Council of Traditional Authority Leaders. This council is at the state level, where traditional leaders comes from all the counties to the state to discuss issues that affect the people and the tradition of the people. And also at the national level. You see, at the national level, we have got the parliament, the national parliament, we have the Council of States, and also we have the Council of Traditional Authority Leader. If you go to the constitution, you will see it. So these things are there, but it is missing.
It is there in the constitution, but not practically on the ground.
Sure.
And you are saying now is the time for that.
That is the time.
What difference will it make?
It will change. It will change the country, because we can't build the country without building the foundation. We are the leaders at the grassroots. We need to be strong enough so that we can have a strong country. We are able to reconcile.
What are you going to do differently that the government is not doing, that the commissioners are not doing, that the governors are not doing?
Well, traditional leaders, you see, at the lower level where the traditional leaders exist, like the Boma, the Payam, that's why we have many people. We will be able to control our people who are moving up and down if we are empowered. We will put a local law that will govern at the local level. For example, you see, if you are 18 years now, you are not allowed to stay with your father. Some people within our community, when you are 18 years, when you are 25 years, you are staying with your father. You are giving birth in the same house. You are putting burden on your parents. You need to have your plot.
It's a sad reality that there are a lot of obstacles facing traditional leaders, and many of them have been killed because the authority has been undermined by people carrying guns. So clearly there are obstacles facing you.
Sure, that is true.
What do you think should be done as we move towards restoring and revitalizing your rule in South Sudan? What do you think are the fundamental steps that must be taken by the government?
Well, at the moment, we already started with the steering committee, a body of eminent people formed by His Excellency the President to put things in place. And also, it is also an opportunity to me to talk to the people, to the South Sudanese people, to the intellectuals. So my question is, people without culture I don't think can build the country. So we need the support of our intellectuals. We need the support of the parliament. We need the support of the executive. Because I can't be a minister and my traditional leader, you see, the constitution and the local government act is clear without supporting. We need to support it. And also, I call upon the leadership of the country. But the problem is the implementation. The president has done a lot. We came up with a resolution in New Site. We came up with a resolution in Bentu. And the implementation is the main challenge. We need a body, a special body to be formed. If we want to put things in order, we need a special body to be formed to restore, for the restoration of the power, the system of the traditional leaders in the country, so that they can also establish the councils that I'm talking about. Because without the council, things will not go well.
Can traditional authorities fix South Sudan?
Sure, they can do it because they supported the struggle and we were able to achieve the independence.
Can the King of the Azande fix South Sudan?
Sure, they can.
With a decree?
Sure, they can.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for coming to the show.
Thank you so much.